North Carolina House Bill 442 that promises to ban trawling inshore in the state of North Carolina finally went before the North Carolina Senate today. I am going to follow up my brief discussion here with some facts about what we know about what trawls actually do in North Carolina. Hopefully many of you will pass this on to members of the North Carolina House of Representatives. But before we go that far, I would like to talk about what happened today. So Senator Hanig did absolutely everything he could possibly do to jam this up, amendment after amendment after amendment, argument after argument. I will include the full audio from the Senate for anyone who would like to hear that. And in the end, there was an overwhelming majority of the Senate that voted in favor of this bill that is going to ban inshore trawling.
Hearing none, the question for the Senate is the passage on second reading of House Bill 442. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting. Clerk will record the vote. Senator Chitlett, aye. 41 having voted in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. House Bill 442 has passed its second reading and will, without objection, be read a third time.
General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Senator Hanig, technically you were late with the objection, but I will hear your objection. Bill will be carried over to tomorrow.
However, there was another objection from Senator Hanig, and I'm not exactly sure how the rules work in the Senate, but it seems that that bill has been pushed to tomorrow. Now, the reason that this is such a big deal is because the House is not going to be in session on Friday. In fact, I have no idea who is going to be in session tomorrow because it is Juneteenth. The calendar shows them in session, but they won't be back in session on Friday. It'll go until Tuesday. So that's up in the air. We don't know how long it's going to be delayed, but we will find out. Anyways, more on to the science that we do know about what trawls do, that the commercial industry will constantly take to our legislators and say, there is no science, there is no science. But then they will also at the same time talk about how much they have reduced their bycatch. So how can you, in the same breath, tell me that you've reduced your bycatch by 70%, but nobody knows how much bycatch you're catching? Think about that one. Chew on it for a little bit. Yeah, let's move on. We're going to talk about the Kevin Brown study. Very, very valid scientific gold standard study that was done in North Carolina that gives us a pretty good idea of what the trawls are actually doing out there. It's not good. If you're commercial, it is not good for you to have trawls in the state of North Carolina if you're a commercial fisherman. At the end of the day, it means far less fish that are available to come to market. The waste is absolutely incredible. And we're going to look at a document that characterized the shrimp trawl fishery in North Carolina. Now, mind you, this isn't all the other sources of mortality of waste, but this is absolutely the elephant in the room. This is the Brown study. This is the scientific gold standard for characterizing the North Carolina estuarine and ocean shrimp trawl fisheries. This is the absolute best data that we have ever collected to figure out exactly what the trawls are doing and what their impact is. And as you can see here, Division of Marine Fisheries, Morehead City, North Carolina, this is a DMF document. And I will admit that the sample sizes are small. So in the estuary, they had a 1.24% coverage. And in the ocean, they had a 3.29% coverage. However, if you were to take and you looked at the shrimp, brown, white, and pink from both the estuary and the ocean trawl fishery, and you add them up, you would get 4,610,000 pounds. If you happen to go and look at the commercial landings recorded by DMF for 2014, so remember that 4,610,000 pounds. If we look at 2014, we have 4,690,000 pounds. So obviously it's not perfect. If anything, it's kind of underestimating where it's actually at. But when we're talking about millions and hundreds of thousands, getting to within tens of thousands of pounds is pretty doggone accurate. It is pretty doggone accurate. So I really do think that even though this is a small sample size, we can absolutely trust this. So to give a little bit of perspective, to calculate the recreational impact on our fisheries, we use a program called MRIP, If you've ever had a dockside survey from someone from DMF, that is what they're doing. And for MRIP, they calculate the dead discards of the recreational sector with about 20,000 surveys or 18 million trips. Now, I cannot do the math in my head, but that is a whole lot less than 1%. So back to this, let's get the big picture. Let's take a look at croaker. So 1.24% of the trawl coverage was 2,531,242 fish. If you calculate that out, the total value, that total value is 204,132,419 croakers in the estuarine shrimp trawl fishery. If we look at the ocean, there was an additional 23,079,300 of these fish. If we look at weakfish, now weakfish is a species that is considered depleted by the North Carolina DMF, indicating the stock is depleted. So this fishery has absolutely collapsed, and yet we are allowing 18,723,387 of these fish to die just in the estuary and shrimp trawl fishery. If we look at the ocean fishery, there's an additional 1.8 million. And now to go on to the real gut punch, and that is flounder. In a time when the common folks of North Carolina cannot go out and keep one single flounder in this state, when the commercial guys, when the regular commercial guys not pulling a trawl, barely have a season at all, the trawls are doing this. Looking at southern flounder numbers from here, from the estuarine fishery, and the southern flounder numbers from the ocean fishery, you cannot tell me when you add this up and get 708,438 fish, that this number does not matter, guys. 708,000 fish. And mind you, these fish have already reached, 3 or 4 inches before they're caught in the shrimp trawls, and they're going to have a very high likelihood of surviving to adulthood. So you simply can't tell me that almost 750,000 fish dying every single year does not matter. And that's the really shocking number. But if you add up the weight, we get kind of a funny number here. 158,091 pounds of these little baby flounder. And if you look at the recreational allocation for 2022, 2023, and 2024, we have 159,706 pounds allowed for the recreational fishery, which has been closed because of its discards. And yet we have an equal number discarded in weight, which, mind you, it's far worse in total numbers of fish, but an equal number almost by weight that is discarded and not counted against the commercial quota. Are we actually trying to rebuild this population, or are we simply trying to keep this gear in the water and protect the commercial fishery? All right, so if we were to look at total numbers of fish, so let's pop up our little calculator here. And really going to give the other side as much credit as possible. And instead of assuming that the average weight of a flounder caught is 3 pounds, we'll say that it's 2 pounds, right? So 159,706 divided by 2 is going to be 79,000 fish. If we remember what was in this other document here, there's roughly 600,000 more fish dying in the shrimp trawls that are not being counted against the commercial quota at all. And guys, I'm sorry. I know that this is how people make their money, and this is not like a happy day for me. This is not a good thing to ask people to go out. But when it has gotten this tight, when the recreational fishermen, when the people of North Carolina, more than 1 million people who would like to enjoy our natural resources, have absolutely nothing at all, we simply cannot be allowing a very small group of people to kill 700,000 more fish every single year and not even have it counted against them, simply because it is a business that they run. There is absolutely no sense of equity, no sense of fairness here whatsoever at all. And this reflects in every other part of our fisheries management system. It's not only here. The politics that have brought us to this point are just going to get worse. All right, let's jump on into the full Senate discussion. Unfortunately, there's no video. It's just audio. But for anybody that would like to hear the things that Senator Hanig said, you can go ahead and listen through this. Folks, if you do not do so, if you listen to the very beginning of this, I didn't actually get it recorded, but if you don't reach out, so there was a standing ovation in the Senate for all of the commercial fishermen that showed up. I was told there were more than 100 commercial fishermen that showed up. If you do not reach out, if you do not make your voices heard, this will go in their favor. The commercial fishermen of North Carolina are serious fighters, and they are very well organized. They will try to keep the trawls in, even though many of them don't want to see the trawls out there. They feel that if the trawls go, that they will be next. All right, enjoy listening to this absolutely mind-numbing discussion in the Senate. I would not wish this job on my worst enemy.
For what you do. Please stand if you're with commercial fishing. And with that, I believe we are prepared to go to our calendar. Senator Raven, for what purpose you rise? The clerk will read.
House Bill 442, flounder, red snapper season, and shrimp trawl.
Senator Craven is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill does a variety of things. Number one, it does open up the southern flounder fishery for recreational fishing at least 6 weeks out of the year between May 15th and November 15th with a daily limit of 1 per person. It does create a commercial quota for 750,000 pounds each year, opens up round season red snapper, and does conduct a southern flounder stock assessment study. In addition to that, there is the shrimp trawling prohibition for the inland waters of North Carolina, as well as a half-a-mile radius around North Carolina's coastline. This will pair us up with our surrounding coastal states, with Virginia, with South Carolina. We can get into the different points on the bycatch and some of the issues that we see out of some of the shrimp trawling in the inlets. I will say I've talked to many of our commercial fishermen, a lot of them here today, and there is no intent from anybody in this General Assembly to impact or hurt somebody's business. We simply are asking them to do what every other state does, and that is operate within a half-mile outside of our coastline. Senator Jackson has been working on a compensation package he will unveil shortly that will help in that transition period, get these folks to where we can kind of make that transition over for them, to ensure they are able to fish in that area and trawl and do those things. So, I commend the bill to you today. It's something we've been working on a long time, and it's something that's good for North Carolina, for our coastal ecosystem, and, for the next generation. Thank you.
Discussion or debate? Senator Waddell, for what purpose you rise?
I want to speak to this bill.
You have the floor.
I've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of letters concerning it. About this bill, I would like to believe it is to support small businesses in regards to fishing. With all of the changes happening throughout the country, we must support small businesses as much as possible. And we've heard from many of them in the area. So I rise today to express concern over some of the implications of the bill, which seeks to significantly restrict shrimp trawling activities in the waters of North Carolina. I understand and respect the intent to protect marine habitats and ensure sustainable fisheries. It is imperative that we weigh these environmental goals alongside the economic and cultural aspects on our coastal communities. Shrimp trawling has been a pillar of the local economy for many Eastern North Carolinians, and many of them have come to the office to share their concerns. It supports commercial fishermen, seafood processors, small businesses, and working families who have relied on these waters for generations. So the proposed limitations could reduce access to critical harvesting areas, and it could also disrupt livelihoods and further strain a sector already facing rising fuel costs, competition from imports, and a lot of other things. Now, let us not forget, this is about balance. Environmental stewardship and economic vitality are not mutually exclusive. We owe it to our fishermen, our coastal heritage, and our state's economy to ensure any regulatory changes are transparent, inclusive, and equitable. And so as I search through the comments, the letters that I've received, I'm reminded there have been many changes regarding fishing and seafood capture in our state, and I'm sure we've had debates on whether these changes were necessary. So I urge this body to approach HB 442 with caution, to engage deeply with affected communities, and to prioritize long-term solutions that support conservation and economic sustainability. Thank you.
Further discussion or debate? Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
To debate the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 442 started out as a great bill. It's a great bill for recreational fishermen. It's a great bill for commercial fishermen. Very few times in the 7 years I've been in this body have I seen those two entities come together and agree on something. Unfortunately, in the 23rd hour, a trawling ban was put in as an amendment. This amendment completely undermines the intent and the practicality of that bill. The amendment reeks, I'm telling you, it reeks of the same old sleazy backroom deals and backstabbing by special interests that have fueled the endless fish wars in North Carolina, hurting both our commercial and our recreational industry. We are better than that. With that, I send forth an amendment.
Send forward your amendment.
Mr. President, I set forth Amendment H442-ABR-40V4.
Clerk will read.
Senator Hannig moves to amend the bill.
Senator Hannig's recognized to explain Amendment 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. What Amendment 1 does is it removes the amendment that was introduced yesterday to eliminate trawling in our sounds. I stand for any questions.
Discussion or debate? Senator Heiss, for what purpose you rise?
To move that Amendment 1 do lie upon the table.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that Amendment 1 lie upon the table. It's a non-debatable motion. We go immediately to vote. Question for the Senate is the motion to table Amendment 1. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the vote, and clerk will record the vote. Senator Britt? Aye. Senator Batch? No. Senator Garrett? Aye. Senator Salvador? No. Senator Chaudhry? No. Senator Murdoch? No. 26 having voted in the affirmative, 19 in the negative. Amendment 1 is tabled and the bill is back before us. Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
To continue debating the bill.
You have the floor.
I ask you, why do you think this amendment was submitted at the last minute, just prior to two major announcements? The first one being, in 2022, this body commissioned a study to assess our entire fisheries, marine fisheries, and bring their recommendations back to this body. The study is complete, and findings will be presented very soon. I want to ask this body, why are we not waiting for those results? Why are we so quick to get ahead of this study? What in the world has caused us to have to jump through hoops to get this done in a day and a half. I'm going to tell you why. Preliminary results from that study, they don't favor the recreational fishermen. They're concerned about that. With that, Mr. President, I set forth another amendment.
Send forward your amendment.
I set forth Amendment H442 ABR-41 version 3.
Clerk will read.
Senator Hannick moves to amend the bill.
Senator Hannig is recognized to explain Amendment 2.
What this amendment does is it prohibits the enactment of any legislation regarding coastal fisheries until the receipt from the General Assembly of the Fisheries Report conducted by the North Carolina Collaboratory pursuant to SL 221-180. With that, I stand for any questions.
Discussion or debate on Amendment 2. Senator Heiss, for what purpose you rise?
To move that Amendment 2 do lie upon the table.
Second.
Moved and seconded that Amendment 2 be tabled. Non-debatable. We go immediately to vote. Question for the Senate is the motion to table Amendment 2 to House Bill 442. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting. Clerk will record the vote. Senator Newton, aye. 27 having voted in the affirmative, 18 in the negative. Amendment 2 is tabled and the bill is back before us. Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
To continue debating the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The CCA and the Wildlife Federation have sued the Division of Marine Fisheries, saying they have failed to manage the fisheries simply because they want to stop commercial fishing. They've made no bones about that. That's been on their agenda for decades. They're going to have their chance in court. Lawsuit's moving along just fine. Why in the world are we not waiting to see what comes out of that lawsuit? I'm going to tell you why. Because they're concerned they're going to lose that lawsuit. And they're not going to get what they want. With that, Mr. President, I move to set forth an amendment.
Send forward your amendment.
Mr. President, I set forth Amendment H442-ABR-44, version 1.
Clerk will read.
Senator Hannick moves to amend the bill.
Senator Hannig is recognized to explain Amendment 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, what this amendment does is it directs the Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations to review. Sorry, I got the wrong one. Sorry. It requires the Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations to monitor ongoing coastal fisheries management litigation. The Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations shall appoint a study committee to monitor any ongoing litigation regarding coastal fisheries management or coastal fishing, including Coastal Conservation Association, the state of North Carolina, and report back to GovOps no later than October 1st, 2025, and annually thereafter until this section is repealed, on the status of litigation and any policy submitted based on the outcome of the litigation. With that, I stand for any questions.
Discussion or debate? Senator Heiss, for what purpose you rise?
Move that Amendment 3 do lie upon the table.
Second.
Moved and seconded that Amendment 3 be tabled. Non-debatable. We go immediately to vote. The question for the Senate is the motion to table Amendment 3. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting. Clerk will record the vote. Senator Lazaro? Aye. 27 having voted in the affirmative, 18 in the negative. Amendment 3 is tabled and the bill is back before us. Senator Hannig is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to set forth an amendment.
Send forward your amendment.
I set forth amendment H442-ABR-42 version 2.
Clerk will read.
Senator Hannick moves to amend the bill.
Senator Hannig is recognized to explain Amendment 4.
What Amendment 4 does, ladies and gentlemen, is it directs the Joint Commission on Governmental Operations to study shrimp trawl buyout programs. The Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations shall appoint a committee to study the feasibility of implementing a shrimp trawl buyout program to provide relief to commercial fishing license holders impacted by any potential ban or limitation on shrimp trawling in coastal fishing waters. In conducting this study, GovOps shall evaluate whether other states have implemented similar programs for fishing operations, how similar programs for other industries have been implemented, and any other matter the committee deems relevant. In conducting the study, the committee shall consult with the Marine Fisheries Commission, the Department of Environmental Quality's Division of Marine Fisheries, and North Carolina Fisheries Association. The study committee shall submit a report and any recommendations to the Joint Legislative Commission on Governmental Operations on or before December 1st, 2025.
Discussion or debate on Amendment 4. Senator Heiss, for what purpose you rise?
Move that Amendment 4 do lie upon the table.
Second.
Moved and seconded that Amendment 4 be tabled. It's non-debatable. We go to vote. Question for the Senate is the motion to table Amendment 4. All in favor of the motion would vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting clerk to record the vote. Senator Britt? Aye. 25 having voted in the affirmative, 20 in the negative. Amendment 4 is tabled, and the bill is back before us. Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
Set forth an amendment.
Send forward your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since I'm on a roll, everyone's having such a great time, I figure I'd just keep on going. I move to set forth Amendment H442 ABR-45 version 5.
Clerk will read.
Senator Hannig moves to amend the bill.
Senator Hannig is recognized to explain Amendment 5.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment removes the trawling amendment, and it puts in place the adopt the bottlenose dolphin as a state marine mammal. I'm just trying to lighten it up a little bit, guys.
Discussion or debate? Senator Heiss, for what purpose you rise?
To move that Amendment 5 do lie upon the table.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that Amendment 5 be tabled. We will go immediately to vote. Question for the Senate is the motion to table Amendment 5. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting clerk to record the vote. Senator Lowe? No. Senator Blue, no. Senator Salvador? Senator Salvador, no. Senator Chaudhry, no. 29 having voted in the affirmative, 16 in the negative. Amendment 5 is tabled, and the bill is back before us. Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
For a motion.
State your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to divide the bill. The number is H442 MTDBR-1 version 2.
Senator Hannig, if you've got a written copy of that motion, it is not on the clerk's desk.
Oh, here it is. I apologize. Madam Clerk, I gave you the wrong one. This is the signed one. My apologies. Can I have that other one back? I got to look at it. I'm not as smart as my seatmate over here. Thank you.
Hold on, Senator Hannig. We've got to get it up on the system. Clerk will read.
moves pursuant to Senate Rule 28 to divide the bill into two propositions as follows. Proposition number 1 consisting of section 1, 2, and 4. Proposition number 2 consisting of section 3.
Mr. President. Senator Rabin, Senator Hannig has the floor. Senator Hannig, do you yield?
I do not.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Explain your motion.
What this motion does and what it does to divide the bill, it brings the bill back to its original form, which is what the intent of the bill was. The intent of the bill was to let our recreational fishermen fish.
I just can't help myself. I have to cut in here. So the 750,000 pound quota that has been given to commercial resets commercial harvest back to a time when the recreational sector had 4 fish per day for 9 months out of the year. This really seems like a bill that's designed to let recreational fishermen fish because it gives them 6 weeks, of which they probably already had 2 weeks.
That's the intent of this bill. What it does do also in section 3, it removes the amendment that was put into the bill yesterday. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Senator Rabin, for what purpose you rise?
Motion to substitute.
State your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 595, various revenue laws, be moved to the next position on today's agenda.
Without objection. So ordered. Motion has been adopted to move Senate Bill 595 to the next item on the agenda. The disposition of that motion makes the motion, most recent motion under 442 fail, and we will take up Senate Bill 595 at this time. Senate Bill 595, clerk will read.
Senate 595, various revenue law changes.
Senator Hannig, if you would come up here. Senator Rabin, if you'd come up here. Okay, members, we are back on House Bill 442. Is there discussion or debate on second reading? Senator Garrett, for what purpose you rise?
I have a question either for the President or the Rules Chair.
State your inquiry.
Okay, thank you. You know, I'm not a lawyer, as I've said before, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
You're to be commended.
Thank you. Since there was a motion to divide the question, which failed, which was offered by Senator Hannig, can another member move to divide the question, or that motion is dead on this particular bill?
It is the chair's understanding under the rules that only one motion to divide is allowed on the bill. So if an additional motion to divide the question is presented, it would be ruled out of order. Discussion or debate on second reading. Senator Hannig, for what purpose you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Inquiry first.
State your inquiry.
I inquired to the clerk as to how Senator Rabin's motion was presented. Have we got a result on that?
All right, Senator Hannig, when Senator Rabin stated his motion, the chair said without objection, waited, heard no objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. To debate the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been no secret that the CCA and the Wildlife Federation have been in full-on assault against the commercial fishermen for years. Now they have the attention of a few influential politicians to help them with their agenda. Isn't that convenient? This amendment is about money and influence, nothing less. Don't let anyone fool you. Don't let anyone convince you different. That's what it's all about. Banning shrimp trawling in inland waters will destroy commercial fishing industry in North Carolina. Why will it destroy commercial fishing industry in North Carolina? The shrimp trawl is a main source for our fish houses. Without the shrimp trawl, many of our fish houses are going to close. People are going to lose jobs. It's going to decimate our fishing industry. They're saying that they're not going after commercial fishing. They're going after commercial fishing one step at a time. You can call it death by 1,000 cuts. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But that's what they're doing. When people don't have fish houses to bring their crab and their fish and whatever to be processed, they don't have anywhere to take it. So they can't fish. They can't make any money. That's how they destroy the fishing industry in North Carolina. Make no mistake. I set forth an amendment for this body to do the right thing. Everyone had an opportunity to vote on these two issues separately. This body chose not to do that. Again, I'm going to tell you, this amendment has been rushed through the process at the 23rd hour because they don't want you to know, they don't want to do what is right. The sponsor, they don't want to do what's right. Not for the working class, not for the working watermen and women. They want to work for special interests, like the CCA, Wildlife Federation. I implore you to vote no on this bill. We need to save our citizens. We need to save our counties. This ban affects many of the poorest counties in this state. One of the counties is almost 19% of their revenue. We need to save our heritage. We need to save our fisheries. I implore you to vote no on this obvious money grab and total sellout of the hardworking people in North Carolina. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Mark Twain. A lie will travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Vote no.
Further discussion or debate? Senator Sanderson, for what purpose you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak briefly to the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Members of the Senate, I've been in this chamber for 13 years. I've been in the General Assembly for 15 years. I don't think I've ever intentionally voted to deny someone the ability to work and to put them out of business. And I'm not going to start with this bill in its current form, 442. It's going to do that, and I apologize to these people that are in this chamber this afternoon who have come up here to advocate for their jobs and to advocate for their futures and to advocate to keep an industry that has been so regulated that it's a minuscule of what it has been in the past and what it may be. I hope they have overcome many obstacles. I hope that they can hang in there somehow so that we do not lose one of the most important industries, I think, in the state of North Carolina. And that's an industry to produce food for our citizens if it comes to that. Right now, we are giving foreign countries the upper hand in producing our seafood. China produces most of the seafood that we take and eat in this country. And that is a dangerous place to be. And if you look at the list of the other countries, it's also very dangerous to allow them to be our source of a food supply. So in this current form, I cannot and will not vote for House Bill 442. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion or debate? Senator Brinson, for what purpose you rise?
Debate the bill.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I haven't been here as long as Senators Hanig and Senator Sanderson, but my opposition to this bill is no less. And the prevention of shrimp trawling. I have heard from individual fishermen that are in my district that will lose their jobs, have to switch what they're doing. I've heard from the processor in my district who will lose significant income. I've heard from 3 different seafood retailers that will lose significant business. In our state constitution, we have a right to work, and I think this is, for me, a constitutional issue, so I will be voting no against this bill so that our fishermen have a right to earn a living. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion or debate? Hearing none, question for the Senate is the passage on second reading of House Bill 442. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed vote no. 5 seconds be allowed for the voting. Clerk will record the vote. Senator Chitlet, aye. 41 having voted in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. House Bill 442 has passed its second reading and will, without objection, be read a third time.
General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Senator Hannig, technically you were late with the objection, but I will hear your objection. Bill will be carried over to tomorrow. House Bill 737, clerk will read.
House Bill 737, DOI Omnibus Bill.